City School District Board, and would like to ask Ms. Dinah to do the roll call.
Board Member Barrow.
Present.
Board Member Gardner.
Present.
Board Member Bove LaMonica.
Present.
Vice President Clerk Cole, absent. President Cluth.
Present.
4 present, 1 absent.
Thank you very much. We'll now move into public comments. Members of the audience may address the board regarding closed session agenda items. Comments from visitors shall not exceed 3 minutes unless waived by a majority of the members of the board. Seeing no one here in person, Dinah, do we have anybody online?
No one is online.
Okay, we will close public comment and adjourn for the closed session. Dinah, can I get you to, no, yeah, no, that, okay. Can I get you to call the roll, please? Thank you.
Board Member Barrow,
Present.
Board Member Gardner,
Present.
Board Member Bove LaMonica,
Present.
Vice President Clerk Cole,
Present.
President Cluth,
Present.
all present.
And I just want to make note for the record that Jen Cole was marked absent, but she was present for closed session.
Thank you.
Stealth entry. All right. And there are no reports from the closed session, so we'll move to the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. I never, ever. All right. I would love a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy, for second. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. All right, moving to announcements. Our first announcement is from the Valley Student Council. Very exciting.
Hi, my name is Sela Sheps and I'm a student representative at Valley. We are Valley's middle school student council members and we are here to update you on what's happening at Valley. Last month, the seventh grade students unfortunately had their outdoor science trip canceled due to bad weather. Fortunately, however, Ms. Shannon was able to find another camp on Catalina Island for the seventh graders to attend. This camp will take place on April 8th through 10th. The seventh graders are really excited to be able to go to outdoor science camp this year, and we want to thank everyone who worked so hard to make it happen.
Last week, the 8th graders went to Disneyland. Although it rained, everyone still had a blast riding all the rides and just having a good time. Yesterday, 7th and 8th graders had guest speakers speak at an assembly about the Holocaust and the impact of that event. Afterwards, 8th graders went to the Museum of Tolerance. It was an impactful experience learning about what happened during the Holocaust and also anti-Semitism and prejudice today. And I think we all learned lots of things. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Noah Swingob and I'm a Valley Student Council member. This Saturday, the Hermosa Valley Band will be performing in the St. Patrick's Day Parade. They will be playing songs such as Into the Clouds. We hope you can come to cheer on the band.
Our Hermosa Valley Science Olympiad team, led by Coach Mrs. Shannon, had a great showing at regionals. Congratulations to the HBCSD Science Olympiad team for placing 13th overall out of 48 other LA teams in their division at the regional competition. The team medaled in 5 events, which were Write It, Do It, Fast Facts, Forestry, Fossils, and Wind Power. Congratulations again to our Olympiads.
Well, my name is Ellie Garner, and trimester 2 ended last Friday, and we started trimester 3 this week. Students who received new electives are excited to start some new projects.
Spring sports season is here. Tryouts for boys volleyball started yesterday, and Coach Vasquez is currently working on putting together a girls softball team. Track will also begin in late March, and students who are interested will meet with Mr. Hazard during lunch tomorrow for more information. We are excited for another season and good luck to our fellow Dolphins to see the spring athletic schedule. Please check the HBS Athletics website.
Middle school will have their last dance of the year this Friday, March 15th from 4 to 6 p.m. in the Valley School NPR. The students have chosen the theme Grammy Party. Everyone is excited for the dance and the students are really looking forward to the DJ and the in-and-out truck. Thank you again for allowing a student council to share what is happening at Valley. We look forward to sharing more information with you next month.
Moving on, the next item on our agenda is Excellence in School Psychological Services Recognition.
Good evening, board. So we have won another of our many awards. This most recent one is from the NASP, the National Association of School Psychology. Miss Schwinn and Miss Cervantes and Miss Denise Valenturni Stern are all being recognized for their work. Miss Schwinn collaborated with many of our staff members in order to apply for this prestigious award. We are recognized for providing great school psychology services. So what better way to honor them than to call them up here and give them the wave? Come on. And my favorite thing to do also with this time-honored tradition is to put them on the spot to say a few words, starting with Ms. Schwinn.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. There was a time I was terrified of public speaking, but not anymore. So I just wanted to thank you for taking a moment to recognize school psychology services as well as the school psychologist in the district. It's been quite a fun adventure. This is my third state and sixth district, and I commend the district for being very open to questions. And I feel like we've been really working together to improve our services, and that's taken some great conversations and some fantastic collaboration. And I'm very grateful for the members of this board for giving us that opportunity to continue to grow our services to better service our students.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my first year here at this district, and I'm so grateful and so excited to be able to join such an amazing team and be under the mentorship of Ashley and Denise, and just follow their path and what they've created, the great supports and systems they've created at Hermosa. And I look forward to collaborating with them in the future and improving our services there. Thank you.
And while I'm very proud of the systems and the supports that we have created, programs are people. And I just want to give a huge shout out to our 3 school psychologists. We have great people. Our special education team is second to none. I'm a former special education teacher, so I can say that with absolute confidence. So congratulations to you all. Thank you for your work. And the work is continuous and ongoing. So good luck as well, too. All right. Thank you, board.
All right. Thank you very much. And thank you for your service. Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Come on. Yeah, get a picture in the morning. In the middle, in the middle.
1, 2, 3, and then snap a few.
We'll make sure these pictures get to you. Yeah. Congratulations, guys. Thanks for making time.
All right, moving on. The next item on our agenda is social emotional learning and positive behavior intervention supports. Principal Overbeck. Welcome.
Good evening, board. I brought some friends with me. So Miss B and Nayla and Cooper, come on up. Thank you for this opportunity to speak again with you about social emotional learning taking place at View and Vista schools. Hermosa schools have been teaching more than academics for years. And here you can see 2 examples of practices that are regular parts of the school day. On the left, first graders in Miss Reynolds' class are participating in their daily morning meeting. And in this meeting, the teacher asks a question each day, and sometimes they're student-generated, silly, serious, different kinds of questions. This day, the question was, what is something impressive that you can do? And each student can answer or skip depending on whether or not they're in the mood to share. And these morning meetings are a fun, relaxing, engaging way for students to ease into the practice of self-reflection and strengthen their communication skills while also strengthening their class bond. On the right, you can see 4th graders in Miss Cedarquist's class. And one student is leading the morning stretch and closing with deep belly breathing there using a chime. So these kinds of practices teach students how to be aware of and reflect on their time in school with peers and make their learning and interactions more meaningful. In order to better support self-regulation, especially at the younger ages, we have added some things to our classroom setting. And you'll see here some examples of things taking place at View School. We introduced dolphin dens to every classroom at View School this past fall. Each little space has tools and resources to support students with things like weighted pillows, colored liquid timers, breathing guides, and things like that. And the TK and preschool rooms have those cute little hideaways there for students who are overwhelmed by the large classroom spaces and the loud noises of lots of kids. You can see at the bottom there a staff training in August. That's Miss Chris, our occupational therapist, and Miss B, our wonderful counselor, providing training on how to use these new resources in each of the classrooms. We've also integrated tools outside of the classroom. In addition to the dolphin dens, we've also added a dolphin cove at Hermosa View School in the corner of the playground. It is a smaller enclosed play space for students to engage with specialized sensory equipment, either as a break time from class or as a smaller place to play during recess time. We've also added a colorful painted sensory path at View School. You can see the jumping frog prints there. And students use this as an obstacle course to get out their wiggles, to refocus, take a break, whatever students need in order to best access their learning. We have plans to add another one at View School because it's been so well utilized, as well as adding one to Vista School with the support from the PTO. Lastly, here on the left, we have Miss Smith's 4th grade class and a therapy dog. Thank you, board, for supporting this partnership to bring a therapy dog to campus. We had experimented with this concept last year at View School, providing puppies in response to crisis intervention active shooter drill. And what's exciting about our new program is the therapy dog will have regular visits to Vista School, not just in response to crisis. So Macy Gray is there on the bottom, and she and her handler visit Vista School on a regular basis. She's already been 3 times and has been very well received. I also want to speak for a moment about social awareness because the district's goal around community equity and inclusion have prompted us to reflect on the assemblies we bring to View School. Part of SEL is understanding our society and the beautiful diversity in our schools and community. For example, some of our families shared connections to bring a Lunar New Year assembly to school at both View and Vista, which is a really exciting way for kids to engage with a different culture. I'd also like to give a shout out to Star Education for being huge supporters of our schools and specifically assemblies, bringing a mariachi band and African cultural dancers as well. Lastly, we have 2 staff members, Ms. Cedarquist and Ms. Myers, who serve as culturally responsive specialists, and they curate resources to provide to teachers across the district that focus on social awareness and themes like equity, inclusion, kindness, and they provide those lessons monthly to each of the teachers. And now I've also invited Ms. B to come share a bit about her counseling program.
All right. Hello, my name is Troy Boucher, and I'm a school counselor at Hermosa View and Vista Schools. So on the slide, we have classroom lessons and counseling. So lessons allow for me to deliver social emotional learning school-wide and reach all students at View and Vista. In September, I introduced, or rather reintroduced myself to all students and started with the zones of regulation. Zones explain various emotions to students and categorize them as different colors. Students are able to recognize these emotions for themselves and for others and how to manage these emotions. It also introduces coping strategies they can explore and practice to find which works best for them. In October, students learned about recognizing the size of the problem and who they can go to for help. For large size problems, we introduced bully prevention and how to be an upstander at school. As we enter into the winter months, we start to focus more on kindness and empathy. These skills allow students to connect with other students on campus in a positive way and helps build a sense of community across both sites. And this month, I've started talking to both 4th and 3rd grade about peer pressure and focusing on decision-making skills. We've talked about the negative aspects of peer pressure, how our decisions can not only impact other people, but ourselves as well, and how in the end, it's best to stay true to ourselves and not follow the crowd. We also have group counseling topics here on the screen, and these are just some of the small counseling groups that have taken place so far this year. As a whole, small groups are constructive and developed based on specific needs, whether it be parent or teacher referral, and small groups allow for students to be able to learn from each other and build great relationships. So we've had some emotion regulation groups, peer regulation groups, social skills groups, confidence in academics, specifically at VIEW, and a Flower Power, which is a friendship management group at Vista. Okay. And so at VIEW, I run Friendship Club, and Vista is co-run by myself and Mrs. Myers. My wellness room actually is used at Friendship Club at VIEW, and we average about 15 students in attendance per grade. At Vista, we utilize the library, and most recently, we've used outside at the Blacktop for meetings. On average, we have about 10 students per grade level joining us. And we have some activities that we've done so far in Friendship Club. But lastly, at Vista, my wellness room is open on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but specifically Tuesdays, students take part in mindful art activities. And some of the things we've done so far that's been really popular are like fuse beads, watercoloring, lanyards, making their own stress balls and things like that. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. B. Before I turn it over to our most important speakers tonight, I just wanted to take a moment and share that our wellness program, our social emotional learning, was highlighted on the cover of EdCal magazine a couple weeks ago, which is a testament to how important this work is and validation that the work we're doing here at VIEW and Vista and throughout the district is really important. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Miss Cooper McDowell to share a little bit about her experience.
Hi, my name is Cooper McDowell, and we are here to talk about the amazing SEL at our school. I personally love Friendship Club and talking with Miss B. I enjoy Friendship Club because we get an opportunity to make new friends and connect with old. Friendship Club is so fun because we get to learn about differences and to be kind to people even if they don't deserve it. I also really admire talking with Miss B because she makes us kids feel like we are safe when we're with her. She says her rules about that are what you say in a room stays in a room, unless you want to hurt somebody, you want to hurt yourself, or you give her permission to share it with other teachers. I think Miss B is very helpful because she will accept anything you have to talk about. She also makes me feel like my secrets are safe with her. She helps us learn coping skills and make us feel better. She always uses a kind, soft tone of voice when we talk with her. Miss B is one of the most helpful people I know. I can't imagine what our school would be like without Miss B.
And we have Nayla Ward.
Hi, my name is Nayla Ward. Like Cooper said, we are here to talk about our school's awesome SEL. My favorite part about SEL is talking about how I feel with Mrs. B and other teachers. For example, Mrs. Bateman used to check on me every morning in the middle of math to make sure I was feeling all right and that I knew what to do. With Mrs. B, we do a wellness center every Tuesday and Wednesday. And every other Friday, we have a friendship club in the library with Mrs. B and Mrs. Myers. Enough about that topic. Another thing I really love is sitting down with my friends and talking about how I feel about what they say and do. We take turns talking about our feelings, our problems, so that we stay strong fans. Thank you for listening and supporting our schools.
And with that, we'll take any questions you may have. Thank you, board.
Any questions from the board? Go ahead, Maggie.
Thank you so much to our students for your testimony on that. Really appreciated it. And just a compliment from our tour last week when we got to see the grounds. I personally experienced the painted activity walk, and I think it was such a great way to use space and provide a really easy access point. So kudos to the whole team for putting really accessible, within reach, age appropriate things for the students to engage in. I think you should add your garden to it as well, because it was such a nice little sensory nature walk as well.
We did take a bite of sugar snap peas.
They were so good. I did have one. Yeah, and
Thank
then
you very much.
there was the other thing that we shared with the SEL committee, which was when we walked into TK and they were doing the
Affirmations.
affirmations in the morning. It was incredible. incredible.
I feel like the next time I share about this topic, I need to request maybe half an hour or so to fit more in. There's a lot more.
I mean,
that's
it
going
just
on,
was a
but-
really great way to, I think, teach empathy and awareness and give kids lots of big vocabulary. And they're doing that in TK. Ms. Pang was just crushing it with these kids. It was awesome to see. So thank you for sharing that with us and just including that in the program. It was great. And great job, ladies. You did a good job.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Good job. All right. Next on our agenda is public comments. So first, I'll read our protocols around public comments. Members of the audience may address the board on any topic, regardless of whether it is listed on the agenda. However, the board may not discuss issues raised that are not listed on the agenda. Topics not on the agenda that are brought to the board's attention may be investigated by the administration and a report made to the board, either publicly or privately, at a future meeting. Comments from visitors shall not exceed 3 minutes per individual speaker unless waived by a majority of all members of the board. So with that, I'll ask anybody that's here, if you have a public comment, please let us know. I think there's cards. Dinah, did anybody fill out a comment card?
No.
Okay. If there are no in-person comments, Dinah, are there folks waiting with virtual comment?
Yes, we have one in the waiting room.
All right. Dinah, why don't you admit that person? I'll quickly read the protocols, make sure that they've heard those. And then we can start. So for the citizen online here, members of the audience may address the board on any topic within the board's jurisdiction, regardless of whether it is listed on the agenda. However, the board may not discuss issues raised that are not listed on the agenda. Topics not on the agenda that are brought to the board's attention may be investigated by the administration and a report made to the board, either publicly or privately, at a future meeting. Comments shall not exceed 3 minutes per individual speaker unless waived by a majority of the members of the board. All right. I think we're ready. Could the member of the public who is about to make virtual comment please introduce yourself and then you'll have 3 minutes.
He has logged off.
Oh, pardon. Okay. Well, with that, we will close the public comment section of the meeting. And we will move to our next item, which is superintendent update. Dr. Johnson.
Thank you, Quentin. Big update here. I'm going to go fast. So Read Across America was fantastic. I want to give a big thank you to all of our readers, and particularly Jessica Jacobs, who was one of the many organizers. I think Jessica Jacobs might be in the mafia because she knows everybody in town. You mean like and extended. So a big shout out to her. Just such a huge help. Shout out to Hermosa Little League. We attended the Hermosa Little League Appreciation Night on Friday, which was a lot of fun. We had a lot of staff there. So we were treated like kings, and it was good. And I just for the record, our kids are really good at baseball. Like it's kind of crazy. I saw like old Venning throwing like a curveball, and like I see this kid every day, like in 4th grade. I'm like, what? It's like a major leaguer. So super fun. And then thank you to Hermosa Beach Police Department. We had an awesome bike safety assembly featuring some cool BMX bikes. It was really exciting, and the kids got a good time. But just goes back to the a culture of safety and that partnership with the city. And then thank you to Carolyn Siegler and Rabbi Kalef. At the same time, we had another assembly going, which is about Holocaust awareness. And the program is If You Heard What I Heard. And it's about speakers that are sharing stories that they heard from their grandparents who were Holocaust survivors. Really powerful experience. This is another Jessica Jacobs special. And I just really appreciate those opportunities for our students to have those experiences and hear those stories firsthand. The Science Olympiad team, they were scored 13th place out of 48. Hugely impressive. I want to give a big shout out to those kids and Miss Loth, Miss Shen, and Miss Sparrell. They do such a great job leading our students. Our Science Olympiad team, I think, is always competitive, and we'll be honoring them at a follow-up board meeting. And then also last weekend, and I believe Maggie was there, that the surf club, the first Hermosa surf club team, had their tryouts, and Coach Yanni Lang was working out with many other volunteers. So just super awesome. We have world-class surfers that attend our schools. So I have a feeling we'll be good. Then it is the St. Patrick's Day Parade on Saturday. This is the very quintessential Hermosa event. I also appreciate that it's celebrating my heritage. I'm like, like 10% Irish and 100% Leprechaun. So I am very, very excited to get out there and represent Hermosa Beach schools with our principals. So our next, we do at the holiday party, our next all staff celebration is going to be the 3rd annual ice cream social hosted at Hermosa View. I will be wearing my full, ice cream getup. The vest is fitted. So it's going to be really exciting, and we're going to get ice cream. Bring your kids, bring your family. We always have too much ice cream, so just bring everyone possible. We'll pull people off the street. And then it just keeps going. It just keeps going. Like Hearts of Hermosa is on Saturday, March 23rd. Just the fun. Once you're all hopped up on that sugar, you mean like then we're going to kind of bring it down with another controlled substance. I want to just, if you're watching, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, because we need to continue to sell those tickets. I think they're a little behind. I think they're a little behind. I have no doubt they're going to catch up, but make sure you buy your tickets, or, just do it the old Hermosa way, which everyone will buy a ticket on Friday. So please make sure it really is such a fun night. You mean, like, I say that as a staff member, like it is a fun night. Sylvia, what do you think?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that silent option.
You heard it from Sylvia Gluck. It's a really fun night, so be there. And then we are going to be having our facilities improvement community meetings. So, as those have been following, we've looked at, like our facilities, and we're looking to make updates, like for the future, and we want the community's input. So our date schedule will be sending out save the dates on April 11th and April 15th, hosted at Hermosa Valley at 6 p.m. We want to hear your feedback. We want to hear your ideas about how we can make Hermosa Schools facilities better. We have some ideas about the needs that we have, but we want to hear from you. And then I just want to take a moment. There are 2 months in the school year that are just really hard months for your teachers and staff, and that is October and March. The reason is simple. There's literally no break. So it's a tough time for our teachers and staff, and they're doing a great job. So many people are hustling and get it done. Report cards are due. You got open house coming up. So just a shout out to our teachers and staff. Always, to me, the best staff in the South Bay. And I really appreciate their work in the month of March. And that is my update. Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Off of the surf tryouts, it was so gratifying to see South Bay board riders, of which Yanni Lang is a part of, come out and sponsor it. They hosted it like a professional competition, complete with like a kid blowing the air horn and having different heats go out. But what was really cool was the folks who were evaluating and supporting this event were all former Hermosa folks. So these were guys in their 40s and 50s, and they're like, I graduated from Hermosa. This is just the most cool thing that has ever happened. So the fact that we can bring this full circle and offer this as an opportunity to students is really gratifying.
Fantastic.
And the girls out there were kicking ass.
Awesome. Anybody else? Any comments? Any other comments? I just wanted to lodge some skepticism about the leprechaun claim, because I've never seen you intoxicated, so it's a very different branch of the Irish tree than my family. But anyway,
you're Canadian. What do you know?
Okay. All right. Moving on to superintendent report and board discussion. Item R27. Oh no, sorry. I'm sorry. Board reports. Pardon me. I missed that one. Thank you for catching me. Ms. Barrow, do you have a board report?
I do actually. That's why I
Please.
wanted to make sure. So, since the last meeting, I actually had the opportunity to sit in two different entities. One, they're all focusing on wellness, and I went to the Beach Cities Health District, the Strategic Development Half Day, and we just talked about their mission statement and how they go about things. And I'm telling you, I was just astounded by how many people are involved in our community and focusing on wellness, and mental health is health. So I really did enjoy the half day and I'm glad I got to attend that. And then I also went to our equity inclusion meeting, which was another aha moment for me. So this is my second year on the board, and I'm getting more involved in the different opportunities to see what's going on. And I loved that meeting as well because of the confluence of people, there are parents and teachers and kids and former students. So just to hear all their input, and I love the direction our district's going in and focusing on wellness. And I think that's really key. And both of those organizations helped me know that we're in the right direction. So that's my report.
Yeah, so we had a wellness council meeting on March 5th and sorry, I'm forgetting her first name. Troy, yeah, sorry, Miss B, Troy, gave a really great presentation, similar to what she did, I'm really having Hillary did tonight. Yeah, it was a very similar, whoever those people are. Yeah, sorry, it really is really affecting me. Sorry, really hard to get up in the morning. Anyway, they gave a great presentation, and then we spent a lot of time digging through the panorama survey results, which I think we had spent more time on that, discussing that than we anticipated probably during the meeting. So that was good to like really unpack it with the group that was there, understand kind of what those survey results mean, understand how we are going to maybe move forward off of and away from panorama. But so that was great. We did not get to, we have a one sheet on social media that we're updating. So we did not get to that, but other than that, it was a great meeting, really well attended. The people who come are always, have so many great ways to contribute, just like you said, with the Beach Cities Health District. There's like the community. We have such amazing community partners that are parents and active in our community. So it's really a great committee. Oh, did I miss anything? Okay, phew, except everybody's name. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, mine aren't as quite as official as theirs, but I did attend the Science Olympiad at Rio Hondo College. And a huge shout out to Miss Shannon and Miss Burrell who were there. And I know Miss Shannon helps as well. The team did a great job. Now that she's not here, I will shout out Ellie and Dylan Haight, were our two medalists at the event for coming in third in Right It Do It. So that was a great job by them and a great job by the whole team. They worked so hard throughout the entire year, and it's just awesome to see them in action. So I was there. I did attend the appreciation night as well, mostly because Grant had a game. So I was there anyway, but I took part in the festivities. It was awesome to see everybody out there. I hope HBLL continues to do that again. And lastly, I attended the Museum of Tolerance field trip yesterday, which was, as Ellie said, I think was very impactful for all the students. Like they were actually, paying attention, well behaved, and I think they really got a lot out of it. They were talking about it afterwards and the impact, and they, we were going up to some of the exhibits, even after like the tour guide ended. So I think that was a really, I don't know how to describe it. It's not a positive or fun experience, but a really important experience that they got to be a part of. So that was great that they got to do that yesterday. That's all I got.
I just echo that. My daughter went to that as well and came back and said the same thing, that everybody was paying rapt attention. So that's great. Anybody? Yours as well. Great. Any other comments under the category of board reports? Seeing none, I will move on for a second time to the superintendent report and board discussion, starting with item R-27-23/24, instructional growth in Hermosa Beach. Ms. Gluck.
This evening, I'll guide you through the evolving landscape of instructional strategies and their link to the educational advancement of our students in Hermosa Beach. The compelling data that we'll explore highlights the dedication of our teachers and administrators in building a robust academic foundation for our students. Hermosa Beach, a destination school. Our top-notch educational and academic offerings, emphasis on social emotional well-being, unique programs, and excellent reputation make Hermosa schools a desirable destination for education. Hermosa has seen a 16% increase in student numbers from 2020 to 2024. It's something that I'm really proud of. And as you can see in the state of California, there's a decline of approximately 1%. Hermosa School's culture of excellence is recognized throughout the South Bay schools. We proudly maintain our students as the third highest performing school district in both English language arts and math. This achievement underscores our sustained high performance within the state of California, reflecting our commitment to educational excellence and the success for our students. And you can look at our math and language arts scores as compared to our neighboring school districts. Hermosa students enjoy the unique option of selecting between MiraCosta and Redondo Union for their public high school education. Data clearly indicates that Hermosa Valley School alumni perform as well or even surpass their peers from neighboring districts in their subsequent educational pursuits. And as you can see in the graph, you can see the class of 2023 seniors, 95% of our students attend MiraCosta and approximately 5% attend Redondo. And then you can see how we perform in regards to our A through G eligible classes. So that data is there for you to look at. And I'm proud of our students, even when they leave Hermosa, they're still continuing to perform well. Hermosa is grounded in core principles that emphasize literacy, aim to elevate achievement for every student, and ensure consistent programming across all levels. To uphold these principles, the districts have committed to allocating funds and time for teachers to analyze data, along with structured periods for professional development and planning. And you can see our three main focuses: literacy, achievement, and articulated programming. I'd like to point out the graph here is a result of our students' Fountas and Pinnell scores. You can see where we have taken Fountas and Pinnell, and then now that we have implemented foundations, the impact it's had on our programming. And this is a result of literacy, achievement, and articulation. Foundations. I'm so excited to report on this. It's a comprehensive reading, spelling, and handwriting program that is used to support phonemic awareness, phonics, and foundational skills necessary for reading and writing development. The program is based on the principles of the science of reading, which emphasize the importance of understanding the relationship between sounds and letters, and teaches these skills in a systematic and explicit way. Hermosa TK through second grade teachers were trained this year, and the program is being implemented in 30-minute lessons. And you can see on the right-hand side what the breakdown of those lessons look like each day of the week. Our approach to enhancing instructional growth is based on prioritizing 4 strategies: literacy, data, professional development, and early childhood. These strategies are integral to our commitment to nurturing well-rounded and successful students. The graph above illustrates our key strategies and corresponding action items, showcasing a comprehensive educational program. Several of the actions reflect a commitment to a robust research-based curriculum that aligns seamlessly with educational standards and ensures high-quality learning experiences. So you can look at the 4 strategies we have and the different actions that we have implemented into our educational program. In Hermosa, our English language arts curriculum is bolstered by methods and practices rooted in the science of reading. We place a strong emphasis on phonemic awareness, phonics, coupled with individual instruction and ongoing support for both students and staff throughout the school year. The integration of Fountas and Pinnell and the introduction of foundations and allocated time for teachers to collaborate with a reading coach has been instrumental in enhancing the effectiveness of our teaching, benefiting both educators and students alike. The graph to the right does show where we were with our first trimester scores of F&P, and then where our growth has increased in second trimester. Our district's data collection at multiple levels serves as a vital roadmap, guiding us towards our future goals while clearly showing our current position. We've established several layers of data accessible to teachers, staff, and families. This initiative aims to create a complete view of student, school, and district progress while ensuring transparency and an informed approach for us to make decisions when we look at our educational journey. Professional development strategies. We emphasize quality professional development and fostering staff growth while enhancing educational practices within our district. We've recently integrated instructional rounds into our school culture, offering staff a valuable chance to learn directly from their peers. Our annual professional development program is shaped by staff feedback, ensuring it meets the needs of our staff. As a district, we're dedicated to facilitating grade level planning and collaboration, which are critical for articulating and educational goals and fostering effective instruction in the classroom. Early childhood strategies is one of my favorites. The use of a research-based curriculum in the early grades is key to establishing a strong and effective educational foundation, giving every child the best start in their academic journey. In Hermosa schools, we have full-day TK and kindergarten programs. And this offers extra opportunities for students to immerse in age-appropriate curriculum. This approach is not only nurtures their academic skills, but also fosters a love of learning, making education an enjoyable and engaging experience from a young age. And as you can see Franny, and then we have our OWL that's part of our foundation program. Okay, we have a lot going on with our curriculum focus. I'm gonna take you through this real quickly. But this is a roadmap that highlights our proactive strategies in evaluating curriculum opportunities, taking into account state frameworks, approved textbooks from the California Department of Education, and district-specific needs. The district remains committed to evaluating student data, teacher insights, student needs, and family feedback when making educational decisions. The integrated approach that our curriculum choices are well-informed, relevant, and responsive to the needs of our educational community. Currently, we are in the process of a middle school science adoption, but as you can see, since 2021, we've been really busy with the implementation of various types of curriculum and various grade levels. So what's next for 24-25? Looking ahead, it's essential to expand our curriculum for more grades, fostering inclusive and personalized learning through adaptive scheduling to provide opportunities for inclusive practices and embrace AI as a valuable tool for both teachers and students. This approach will enrich our educational landscape, catering to the diverse needs and embracing technology advancements. But there's still more. Recognizing that there's always room for growth in our pursuit of excellence and student learning environment, we're exploring several initiatives. These include adopting science and language arts curricula for elementary students and further evolving our middle school schedule. These steps are aimed at continuing to refine our educational offerings to meet the changing and challenging needs of our students. So in summary, our commitment lies in continuously reviewing data to keep our focus on student needs. We will strategically implement instructional practices and curriculum that are grounded in research-based evidence, ensuring our approach remains effective and responsive to the evolving needs of our students. Any questions?
All right, any questions from the board?
Sylvia, that was an amazing presentation. Thank you so much for painting that so clearly. I wanted to dive into a question on slide 5.
Okay.
Is and I'm not familiar with how Fontes and Pinnell works, but is that 20% growth between trimester 1 and the end of trimester 2? Is that a normal trajectory of that would be true for a kid over the course of a year in terms of how much they grow, or?
That's
This
a
needs to be
high
combined.
growth for that grade level when
Mhm.
you look at it. And we implemented foundations at various points within the first trimester. So most of our kids were not fully immersed in trimester 1 with foundations.
Mhm.
A lot of them was October and November. So it was after the first mark where they had taken their first their F&P assessment. So now we can see the growth of how this program is impacting the reading of students. And I have to say, every time that I go into classrooms, I can sit and watch a foundations lesson because it is so engaging, and the students have different modalities to participate, whether it's writing, raising their hands, going to the front of the room, using cue cards on the table. It's varied every day. So I think that change helps students to learn like spelling patterns. And
It's an
it's a lot of
incredible
fun.
growth.
So
It was just-
I'm really excited to see our third trimester growth, as well as our iReady scores, see how it's been impacted specifically in the area of phonics and phonemic awareness, because I can pull that data out.
Awesome. And then my second question is on slide 9 off of literacy strategies. And it's great that we're dropping the does not meet from trimester 1, trimester 2. I think I'm most curious about on either side of the spectrum. So for the does not meet, it's easy to understand, but the meets or exceeds, the exceeds could be any bit of that green. How do we support our literacy kids on either side of the spectrum, either in the far, far green or the far yellow?
With differentiated reading groups
Mhm.
is the best way to support students and teachers reading with students on a regular weekly basis.
Okay, thanks. Passing it off.
Other questions?
No, I just want to compliment you. It's a really great PowerPoint. I mean, the slide deck's so great. It's very, very easy to read and really great information. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on, our next item is R-28-23/24 Equity and Inclusion Update. Dr. Johnson.
Thank you, and I'll just wait for Diana to warm up the computer. All right, good evening again. This is our second update for our Equity and Inclusion Action Plan. And this is the fourth year, if you can believe it, of this work, and the third year implementation of the action plan itself. There are 10 objectives for this year. This is the second update. All are on target for the school year. Objective 6, as I mentioned in the update in the fall, has shifted just due to a change in our professional development schedule. And as you've seen, that our trimester 2 reading achievement is looking good, and our panorama scores are up for this school year. We'll dive into that a little bit deeper in this presentation. There is the action plan in a nutshell. It all begins with our community leadership, the equity task force, and then subsequent equity and inclusion committees are led by the school community. That includes parents, students, and staff and administration, as well as the board. We make decisions about how to support equity and inclusion in our schools by data. That is what drives us. That was the beginning for those of you that were on the original task force. And then we use that data in order to provide achievement and wellness for all. And we do mean for all. That's our goal, is to reach all students. You mean like, and to target them and find that need with the data. Right, and the objective 1, this is the Equity and Inclusion Oversight Committee. We had our third meeting just recently. We've played with the meeting schedule to try to, in confluence with the committee to make sure that the meeting schedules made sense. We are actually going to add a meeting. The committee agreed. So there will be another Equity and Inclusion Committee on April 30th. As soon as Kathy got on it, we said we needed to start adding meetings. In the area of objective 2, our reading benchmark system, there you see, just as an overview, we've just completed our F&P. Our teachers are working with that data in order to support their students. And then our grade level teams work with our reading coach, Julie Cheverini, you mean like in order to analyze that data, in order to meet their needs of their students and talk about strategies. There you see the trimester 2 reading benchmark and the growth from trimester 1 to trimester 2. And yes, I do concur that we have seen a noticeable increase in performance for those students that are working with foundations. We're excited. It's still early. We like to, you know, as always, we really believe in longitudinal type data, but the early indications are good. In the area of wellness and inclusion survey, we just completed our panorama survey, and those results are reviewed with staff, students, as well as various councils, including the Wellness Council. And I'm going to review them with you. There you see our student survey results. You know, there's been an increase from last year to this year overall. And it seems that over the course of 3 years, I mean, like our data is consistent, I would say, with a generalized increase. In the area of the family surveys, similar results, and I find these results to be more consistent year to year. And something I will note that I do chalk up some of the school safety increase perception data to surrounding some of our actions and messaging around school safety, particularly post-Uvalde. And then finally, in the area of staff survey, this one, I do think that part of the story is in reviewing the raw data comments. There's just been a general, I would say, better awareness, as well as greater opportunities for our staff to learn about this type of work. I think that our staff has always done a great job and been proud of their work in social emotional wellness and connecting with students. I think that the interesting thing is to, you know, when you use this data is to compare it with student perceptions, and that makes for a great staff conversation about like, hey, what can we do to support students? Here's where we're at, here's where they're at. And you mean like, how do we make sure that we're reaching all kids? In the area of cultural awareness and action, I would say that the generalized feedback is continuing like, you know, hey, what practical tools can we use in order to engage in this type of work in our classrooms? There are many teachers that feel very confident, and there are some teachers that are still emerging in their comfort. And so that's something that we take to heart as staff, and we look at our professional development for this and next year, continuing to focus on practical tools and practical application, particularly modeling for our teachers. In the area of achievement growth goals, so right now we're in the thick of things with iReady and benchmark assessments. We look forward to presenting to the board at the Culture of Excellence presentation annually, as we do in April, where you'll see the results from all of our trimester 2 assessments. There you see our schedule, and this is where our staff and our students are at it right now. They're doing a lot in the month of March. The equity dashboard should be fully updated by trimester 2's data in April. You know, we're very proud of that work. I would encourage anyone who's watching to take a moment. It's prominent on the first page of our website. But you know, it's when we think about the health of our district and how we are doing. To me, the equity dashboard is a good, simple metric to review that progress. In the area of objective 6, our professional development, this is the area where I mentioned that we changed direction. UCLA Center X this year took a hiatus, and we probably will continue that work with them next year. So we focused more on our inclusion professional development to support what we're doing with special education and meeting the needs of all learners. And then we also have continued to work on instructional rounds. I know that they've begun at View and Vista. And so we're continuing to expand on that work. And of course, Valley, began as pilot last year, and they've continued that work this year. The area of responsive campuses, I won't go too deep, but there you see that the last 2 months and the work that we do. I just want to give a shout out to Star Education. I just think they've been great about helping us link up with culturally relevant assemblies. This is an area that I think that year to year we've gotten more and more strong in, but I really credit Star with being such a great partner. And then, as we mentioned earlier, you mean things that are also about community, such as the BMX bike assembly or community safety. These are all equally important things, and really these days our greatest difficulty is finding the time to fit everything in. But they're just doing a really, really great job at all the school sites. I commend them. That's a lot of work to coordinate and organize all that. But I do believe they've taken that work seriously. There you have Objective 8. There's good old Macy Gray, our new therapy dog, working with Blue Line Dogs. This has been a great service, and the pilot has begun at Hermosa Vista. They're coming every other week, and so the logic behind this is that rather than having, we had therapy dogs come onto campus and also the puppy party after like engaging in maybe a difficult drill. So when they approached me, this group, they said, sometimes dogs become associated with trauma itself. So having a more regular schedule of having a therapy dog on campus, does both things. Very much agree with that and excited to get that started. Looking forward to expanding it. Then I also want to highlight, some of the work that we've done with Autumn Stevens. I got to give her a big shout out, who has provided therapy to our teachers on campus, where teachers can access, just like a mental health check-in with her. And we'll cover your class for 20 minutes and you go check in with Autumn Stevens, and who's a licensed medical family therapist. And she has been fantastic. Just today, I was at Hermosa View and I was meeting with a group of teachers and they were singing her praises. So that makes us all feel good. And we're going to continue with that work. Me and the leadership team, we will be meeting with Autumn Stevens and are going to have a leadership team meeting about mental health coaching. We as administrators are constantly engaged in helping our people, working with our people. And so what can we do to be better at that? Then Objective 9, this is really exciting because we're getting deeper and deeper into this work. So I know it's a mouthful, multi-tiered system of support. That's a really long way of just saying, are we making sure all the kids are getting what they need? And there you see the pyramid of, tier 1 is what you provide to all students to make sure that you're meeting their needs. That should be your largest swath of supports. And then tier 2 and tier 3 are more intensive. So what we did in the month of February, March is take an audit and literally did a head count of all of those interventions and all the kids that are engaged in those interventions in order to evaluate those percentages, to make sure that the level of support that we're providing is sensible, from the standpoint of access, but also that we're not, overloading our special education, or our more intensive supports, because those things should be, either there should be more robust supports, on the tier 1 level, to make sure that kids don't get to that intensive level, because if they do, that means they're very far behind. So we actually had a kudos to Ashley because she was in our principal meeting this week when we were looking and analyzing that data. She's been a really helpful partner, and we're looking forward to taking the next step. We're about to evaluate our tier 3 interventions. And then finally, in the area of personalized learning, this is a theme, that runs through all of our work and where we're headed as a school district, as a vision. There you see, some activities that such as the participation mapping survey, which we're looking forward to bringing that data to the board. But most recently, just a fun one is the day in the life of the student at Valley. I think when you see the picture of David Hart there as a student, you can laugh it off. But to me, I was hearing some of the qualitative feedback from it, from multiple teachers and students from Superintendent Advisory Council. But, this goes a long way both ways, that students, see that teachers, truly want to understand what their experience is. And then vice versa, that teachers are understanding from the perspective of a student in a way that is unique. And I've engaged in this activity at a different school, but one of the first things I realized is being a student is really exhausting. Having to come to class and listen to somebody and stay engaged for 6 hours in a day, that's very hard for an adult. So I'm really proud of Valley, and we hope to expand this, but I think it's just a continuing step in the direction of, looking at our students as individuals, and trying to meet their needs. Thank you. I'm very proud of this work. As you can see, it's very far reaching and it's a lot of data. But I do think that it's providing the outcomes that you saw. You mean like with Ms. Overbeck's presentation or the achievement presentation, like build a very, very strong foundation. And, our goal is to figure out how to be better. And at this point, I'll take any questions. Thank you.
I'll start at this side. Jen?
Oh, I'd love to hear some of the anecdotal things from Mr. Share a little more about that.
Yeah, one I'll highlight from Leslie Lee, who also engaged in it. And you mean like I won't do her words justice because I heard it like kind of like a quote, but it was for her, it was just like, what was described was it's just very meaningful. You mean like to get that perspective of a student, you mean like, and to engage in that activity to see like, because Miss Lee's been a teacher here for a long time. You mean like, but to see a different look in a space that you've been in for a long time. I ran into Hart at the Little League. And we were mostly laughing, but he also, to me, like, again, like just like a positive experience because like Hart, he connects with a lot of his students, at 6th grade. So I think from that perspective, I heard it on the student end where you mean like how much fun it was on a day to like see Mr. Hart as like one of the kids. And then you mean like, from just students on the Superintendent Advisory Council, you mean like, I think it's just like a level of interest. You mean like that their teachers would be interested? You mean like to have that experience? You mean like, it's hard to put in words, but like, I mean like, when something has kids' attention, and by the way that they talk about it, it's fun and it's engaging. So that's what resonated with me. And I think what will be great for that staff is that they're going to be doing debriefing activities. So I look forward to hearing more about like those debriefs and what that means for staff.
I'm just asking that too, in the context of inclusion and equity. It's like, it does make a difference to have adults, trusted adults being in your life, seeing what you're seeing, understanding the environment. So I do appreciate those teachers for doing it and for Jessica for encouraging it. So thank you.
Yeah. And credit to Valley staff too, because I mean, like it was a long list of people that wanted to do it. So.
No questions for Doug? Go ahead, Maggie.
Thank you so much for sharing all that. And I think the outcomes are speaking for themselves in terms of what's the adage? Expect what you inspect, right? So we're seeing the areas where we've put a lot of attention and transparency, like we're starting to see some real areas of growth out there. And I appreciate we're doing that. I think I'm more curious about the structure of the equity and inclusion work that we're doing. And if it's time to revisit what structurally, how it's implemented in the district, if it's still set up in the ways that meet the needs as a superintendent council, if we're getting broad enough representation, if there's different pieces that we should be looking at as a district in terms of like how the structure is set up. So we have a lot of we've identified a lot of the areas that we wanted to do to identify metrics that we could work towards and look for growth and outcomes. And I'm just curious if there's another vehicle that we need to help us do some of the other work to evaluate programs, to do just some of the other pieces that go along with it. Now that we have programs, we have some programs in place and we have data assessment in place. I'm just curious about the other side of it. If it's, if you're getting what you need from a committee, if the committee members are getting what they need from the committee, if the community is getting what they need. So the outcomes are there and we're growing in really great ways and highlighting the areas that we need to grow in really great ways. But I am curious to revisit.
It's been on my mind also, Maggie, but I'm just trying to.
We're 3 years in.
Yeah.
I was just like
Yeah, so it
rereading
might be a good time.
the piece on it. So I was like, does it need to be updated into like a new modern 2.0, 3.0 of where we were off of this group?
Is that an open question for all of us, or is that a question directed
It's an
to
open
Dr.
question. I
Johnson?
don't know if I need to save it for board member roundtable or if you have any feedback on that, Dr. Johnson, or if you want me to do anything with it. This is just a report. So there's no action taken.
To me, like, and this well, so I'm explaining for everybody else is that the work is driven by the task force's recommendations that was converted into an action plan. And, in each year, when I redo the and update the action plan, I go back to the task force's recommendations, particularly the multi-year recommendations, to ensure that the work that was set out is being met. I think we all realize that work has evolved. Probably what the task force recommended at the time has changed in many different ways. as our community, and our district has changed. Just starting with the fact that, that was for us, that was the first year of our administration. Sylvia and I and the team. And then, we have new principals, many new staff members. I do think that the work has quite evolved from that point in time. The good thing about the task force's recommendations is that they allowed, for an action plan to be created and then annually revised. I do think that it would probably take to do like a 2.0. It would probably take a task force. I think to scratch the itch that you're talking about. In the sense is like it probably would require some board direction. That would be much more involved, as from the work. Probably not to the same level that we did. I think we were meeting like every other week. But something in that ballpark.
Yes.
And then I also think as a structure too, something that the committee concluded is that the committee is an oversight committee. That there would have to be such a higher level of commitment of participation from committee members as with the task force to be truly engaged with what I view as, administrative operations, which very much drives, the task force. If you look at, I'm going to just kind of go back for a second, because I think it's important as a visual. If you look at these areas on the action plan, these are very operational things. I would concur with someone who may be frustrated with the equity and inclusion action plan, because I've heard feedback over the years that the work does have it is like driven by data. But what I've shared with those folks is that was the intention of the task force, that they wanted its actions governed in data and not necessarily just at the direction of the committee itself. So if there wasn't data to back up the need, then it wasn't something that the action plan was going to try to address. We can all understand that attaching data to such qualitative work is difficult, but I believe that was intentional by the task force to make sure that the work was focused. So it's been quite the journey. I do not disagree with the ask or the question of does it need a review or more intensive review, because I think that this work is ongoing. So it really just depends on where the board is at. In the direction from the board of where they want to head, beyond this work. But I would say that right now that the task force's recommendations continues to be the constitution of the action plan. I know it was long. I don't know if that quite answers your question. That's where I'm at on it.
Mine was a curiosity. I'm wondering
Yeah.
if the vehicle is still
Fit for
needed to lease
purpose.
a new one, if it was time to.
I do believe that work, because I was part of it with you, that to be done would have to need a lot of time. And be very, very intentional, which, all of our work is like that. But just from being involved in it for the last 3 years, it would require a great deal of time. And I do think that board direction would be necessary in that case, like it was with the task force.
I think I had a slightly different observation that I think ends up trending in the same direction, which was just, having seen this evolve over the last 3 years, I'm impressed at the depth and the richness that we've achieved on all of these dimensions that I think we're seeing on the screen here. There's 10 different pieces, and each one of them has multiple components to it, and each one of them is evolved. And it just, I find it pretty impressive. It did spark for me the same kind of question, and where does it go from here? Does it, obviously the work of equity inclusion doesn't end. But, yeah, is there, how does it evolve? And maybe you've described some approaches that could be fairly time intensive. I wonder if there's ones that are medium intensive, where just the people that are involved could engage in conversation around, where do we need to go next? What are the gaps? What are the most obvious things that we could or should consider doing? Just as a way to, keep it fresh without having to enter into a very laborious process.
I would just remind the board that the action plan is revised with the committee each year. If you're a participant, Jen Cole has been the representative for the last 2 years. So I just as described, I mean, like, for example, we began, not to make this the end all be all of change, but we began with 12 objectives that was rooted into 10 objectives. The objectives themselves have changed. Trauma support, for example, became a new objective, as well as personalized learning. So what you're describing, Quentin, I do believe is being done.
Good.
And that's why I say that, to me, to go beyond that, which I would welcome that, I again would say that would require a more intensive process. And I only know that from participating on the task force itself.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, just impressed and thankful to my board colleagues who were part of leading this in the first place, and to the administration for doing such a good job carrying it forward and continuing it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item R-29-23/24, second interim budget. Ms. Montalvo.
Thank you. As Clinton mentioned, I'm here to present the 23-24 second interim report. I'm happy to report that the district has a strong reserve balance at second interim. Our strong reserve has allowed us to negotiate a settlement with for all the teachers and staff of the district. Here's our pie chart that we always like to look at. Just a reminder that over 80% of our expenditures are on staff. Key changes and key numbers I really want to point out, December and January, where the LAO and the governor's office did announce that they will be making reductions in COLAs for the next 3 years, which, by the way, are part of our multi-year projection, so they've already been included. On this slide, I want to draw your attention to the projected enrollment. Those numbers that you see there are from our enrollment update that Dr. Johnson gave in January. And those numbers have already increased across the board. Currently in 23-24, we're at 1343. As of Friday, 24-25, our enrollment is 1394. We feel that we're going to cross the threshold of 1400 probably, which will increase revenues, but could potentially increase expenditures as well. Here's, we're taking a look at the reserves. On the left, you have the reserve in millions, and on the right, you have your percentages. Enrollment continues to drive reserves. As enrollment increases, you can see the conservative and moderate lines. And as enrollment increases, so do the reserves. Taking a look at our multi-year projections and closing, I want to remind us that we are projected to close this year with a strong reserve of 26%. We will continue to remain fiscally solvent for the next 3 years, and we're able to submit a positive certification to the County of Los Angeles. Do I have any questions? No.
Great job as always.
I also really like the slides tonight. I mean, hey, I go to a lot of meetings when you see slides, and these are really great slides, guys. We should be really happy. It's really clear communication. So good job. Yeah.
Thank you.
And they're new and improved.
It's even clear for me.
See?
Me.
Perfect. That's great.
Me. Nice job.
Anyway, thank you. It's very clear. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Paul. Thanks,
You're
Paul.
welcome. Thank you.
All right. All right. Moving on to the consent items. I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent items.
So moved.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy.
It was me.
Okay, good. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Passed. Great. Now, last time I skipped an item, so now we're going to go to all the way to board action. Good. All right. Moving on to board action, item S-27-23/24, 2024 California School Boards Association Delegate Assembly Election. Dr. Johnson.
Approval is recommended to select up to 6 candidates for the 2024 California School Board, Association Delegate Assembly. There are 6 candidates on the budget, on the ballot. Man, whew. All right. 6 candidates on the ballot. You mean like, so that makes selection very easy this year. And that is recommended to the board. Thank you.
Just to be clear, Dr. Johnson, are you recommending we log a vote for each one of these 6 candidates?
I recommend that the board make its own decision on who they choose to vote for, but I do encourage you to select 6, just because, so there happens
Any
to be-
6.
There you go.
And there happens to be 6
6.
on there.
Okay, that sounds like it.
Could you read us off the names? If you have them,
Sure.
please?
I happen to have the names here. Dr. Alma Karina Castro from Linwood Unified School District. Jaime Lopez from Whittier Union High School District. Esther Meja from El Rancho Unified School District. Alicia Mignano from Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District. Ann Phillips from Lawndale ESD Elementary School District. Linda Solomon Saldana from Downey Unified School District. Those are the 6 candidates that were presented with, and we can vote for any one of those 6 or all 6.
Yes, you can select up to 6.
Great. I might look to some of our more veteran members for thoughts or advice on this. Is this how often does this come up?
Annually.
Pretty annually.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say let's talk to Maggie, see what she thinks.
With only some disrespect to our esteemed board colleagues on the east side of Los Angeles, they completely stacked the ballot. So it's all represented out of Norwalk, Whittier, and Downey. And it really chaps my hide every year that we don't have more delegates that come out of the South Bay. But that's where we're
How
at.
do you get on the list?
Well, I actually am not quite sure how I'm not on that list because we sent in a nomination for me to be on that list.
We're going to take a look.
You'd have
at
had my
that as
vote
well,
for
too.
sure. I would have voted for you 6 times.
Ann Phillips has served as an elected school board member for close to 40 years now. And so brings in the west side. But she treks out to Norwalk then on a quarterly basis to do this. We had Jeremy Gelson out of Torrance. He just served last as a board delegate. I had served 2 terms as a board delegate, but usually the west side hasn't volunteered any names. So they've just kind of taken over. I think it creates a geographic, this is not on us. I'm just saying, at large, South Bay, it creates a geographical misrepresentation of some of the issues because the districts are different in terms of demographics and size and budgets. And they advocate for different things than we do.
So
There's nothing wrong with voting with all 6. Nothing's going to happen if we don't vote or if we do vote.
The power of democracy.
Power of democracy. They are all
Power of
valid and
democracy.
they will win regardless. So we can vote or we can make a protest vote of no vote.
How
Just vote for
is there
Ann.
anything we can do to influence besides putting your name forward, which we did?
Yeah.
Is there anything we can do to influence our ability to appear on the final ballot?
No. But we do have a representative on this board who's part of the South Bay board presidents monthly meetings who could encourage his colleagues to send in other delegates.
I could certainly do that. And I'd be happy to do that for next year. Is that correct? Is that what I would be doing?
Yes.
Okay.
2-year term.
All right. All right. So do we need a motion here? Dr. Johnson?
You need a motion.
I move that we vote for Ann Phillips as our sole vote to support the West Side.
Any competing or supporting motions?
I'd second that. My only other thought was there was a Santa Monica one. If we wanted a second, it's not a
Santa
South
Monica,
Bay, but
Malibu,
it is
Alicia
West
Mignano.
Side,
I'll amend my motion to include Santa Monica in there.
right? Am I correct? There is the Santa Monica, right? Yeah,
But 6 people get to be on it, so I.
It's a
that's a protest.
We'll be noting that the people from the west side got more support.
I'm for voting for all 6.
Just as a point of order, we have a
Motions on the table.
we have a motion on the table. You mean like to vote for 2? So if there is a competing motion, you need to first vote for the first motion. And then if that motion passes by majority, then the second motion would be void.
I just would caution us to make this our protest. It's not. I think there's other ways we should encourage versus protest. These people want to do it.
Okay. Ms. Barrow, any comments?
I have no comments.
Okay.
There's still a motion on the table that does need to be voted on, though.
Well,
I think it needs to be seconded.
Doug already seconded.
He just made an amendment. It wasn't seconded. He made a suggestion. I amended my motion. It hasn't been seconded.
Okay, I'll second the amended motion.
all right. So the motion on the table is voting for 2 of the 6 candidates here, specifically Ann Phillips and Alicia Mignano. And so with that motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that motion passes.
Do I get to say opposed?
Sure. I was
Totally teasing.
I was counting the 4 yeses. And you're no. Okay. So Dinah, note that motion passes 4-1, please.
Noted.
And I think that means we can now move on.
For the record, this is the most hilarious split vote in Hermosa Beach.
All right. Well, I was going to have a motion to vote for Maggie 6 times. like I don't see a write-in portion on the, like. Yeah.
We are going to follow up on that with CSBA just about her delegate status.
Okay. All right. I think we're going to move on now to item S 28-23/24, the comprehensive safety plan. Ms. Gluck.
Ratification is recommended for the Comprehensive Safety Plan effective March 1st, 2024. The plan was reviewed by the Hermosa Beach Police Department, LA County Fire Department, City of Hermosa Beach, and members of the Principal Advisory Council.
Any of my colleagues have any questions about that?
No questions, but again, I just want to thank you because I know it takes time to go through that every year and revisit it. And I appreciate that someone is and people are looking at it with intensity.
Great. All right. If there are no further comments or questions, I would look for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy, for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right. Did you vote aye to that one? Okay, good. Just checking. Moving on to business items B-105-23/24, the 2023-2024 second interim report. Ms. Montalvo.
Thank you. It is recommended that the board approve the second interim report, which certifies that the district is fiscally solvent for the next 3 years.
Do any of the board members have any questions? No, not seeing any questions. I'll just say thank you very much again for the clean and excellent presentation, which is not just a compliment to your PowerPoint skills, but also I think a service to our community to help everybody understand what's going on. So thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Maggie.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy, for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. All right, moving on. B-106-23/24. Why does that look very similar? The 23-24 second interim budget revisions. Ms. Montalvo, I get confused here. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, this is just a compliance piece that approval is recommended for the 23-24 second budget interim revisions for this reporting period.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Jen.
Second.
Thank you, Doug. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on. Item B-107-23/24, Contract agreement, outdoor ed program, Catalina School Adventures. Ms. Gluck.
It is recommended for the contract for the Hermosa Valley School Outdoor Education Program with Catalina School Adventures for the 7th grade outdoor science school trip during April 8th through 10th of 2024.
Any comments or questions?
Just a comment that to thank you to the team for figuring this out and getting that trip rescheduled so the kids have the opportunity to go this year.
Yeah, this is one of the highlights of middle school, I think, and it was really disheartening when it couldn't go through. So just miraculous and fantastic to get this back on the schedule. Comments, questions? If not, a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Thank you, Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. B-108 2324 Agreement on Retirement Incentive Program. Dr. Johnson.
Thank you. Just a comment very briefly on item 107-2324. Just a big shout out to Jessica Bledsoe. She was very much the one who hustled and moved heaven and earth in order to make that happen. So I just a big credit. She just never stopped trying and was literally hitting the phone, hitting the pavement to get it done because she felt so passionately about it. So just a big credit to her. That was hard work, not easy to do. On item B-108-2324 Agreement on Retirement Incentive Program. First off, I want to thank all staff who participated and investigated in order to determine whether or not retirement works for them. PAR's retirement incentive, the reason that I've recommended to the board in the past and the analysis and recommendation to the board tonight is financial in nature. That the way that we look at this formula is that does provide an incentive work for the district, and save money for the future so that we can better serve students. And then as an outcome, it also works for the employee to choose to retire. So in order for it to work, it needs to be a win-win. So with that stated, my recommendation to the board is to approve the certificated non-management retirement incentive only as a recommendation to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Any comments from any of my board colleagues?
Yeah, I think that I agree with Dr. Johnson's recommendation. Looking at the numbers and doing the analysis, there is a significant financial savings by doing the certificated non-management. So that's awesome. But the classified, there is not. There's actually, it would be detrimental to the financial outlook for the district. And so I agree with his recommendation. This is a financial decision to go through with that.
Thank you. Any other thoughts or comments?
I just think it aligns really with the budget or numbers we're hearing from the state too. So just to be more aware of our fiscal responsibilities on that one. So I also support it.
Great. And yeah, I think Jen, as you're saying, the context is one where there have been some good financial times in the state's recent history. We seem to be heading into times, according to the most recent budget updates, that will be less generous. And so I think we need to be just mindful of that. And so for that reason, I think the recommendation Dr. Johnson made is prudent. So I'd like to ask for a motion to adopt B-108-2324, an agreement on retirement incentive program for certificated non-management personnel.
So moved.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you, Doug, for your second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes. All right. Lastly, well, second last, I guess. Personnel. Connor McDavid is playing, so we got to keep it going. Confidential P 28-23/24 confidential employees job title changes. Dr. Johnson.
Great. This one is a fun one, and I'm excited to make this recommendation. So we have a technology coordinator, a communications coordinator, and a facilities coordinator. These are great people, one of which is in the room. The operations of Hermosa Schools has vastly complicated since even just my 4 years of being here. Even Kathy and I have talked about that, just like it continues to be a more and more complicated operation. We're proud of that fact. We're proud of our new facilities. But the scope of the jobs have gotten bigger. So my recommendation tonight is to have job title changes that are reflective of the roles of these people. Coordinator does not quite suit the big shoes that they fill. And while this is not a financial change, I do think that the least we can do, Aaron, is to honor them with appropriate titles. So my recommendation is to change these titles to the technology director, the communications director, and the facilities director. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Comments or questions from the board?
Just that director more aptly suits what they're doing already, so let's change it.
No, I agree. I thank Aaron for wearing a suit for this occasion. So good job, my friend.
No, I concur that these are really leadership roles, and even though we're small and it's not always a big team that you're leading, these folks are playing leadership roles in the community and at our district, and we really appreciate that. Should recognize that. Okay, so if no other comments or questions, may I have a motion?
So I'll move.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. All right. Last item on the agenda, board member roundtable. I'll open it up here for any comments.
I just wanted to say oh, sorry. Go ahead. We just jump in.
No.
Yeah,
go
mine's
ahead.
really quick. I last night attended the MBEF, just a talk that they gave, that had Phyllis, I think her last name is Fagel. Anyway, she did this really great presentation for middle school parents. There was, everyone was invited, but anyway, she's an author. I brought her book, Middle School Superpowers, Raising Resilient Tweens in Turbulent Times. And I have to say, she's very effective and a really great speaker. And I hope that at some point we can collaborate with them to maybe get her to come back out here. She really likes California, so I think it might be in luck. But yeah, anyway, it was a great presentation. Thank you, Hillary Mayhem, for inviting us, and thank you to those people who showed up. It's great.
We should totally pick up her travel costs from Manhattan Beach. That was great. Thank you.
Board colleagues, former school board member Ray Waters passed away late last year, end of last year, and there's been a group of community members who have come together who would like to uplift the work that Ray did along with current community supporters, Suzanne Evans and Jackie Tagliaferro, the PV Land Conservancy, in doing the work and Tammy Heath, that was started with Ray and Suzanne over 10 years ago in 2013 by putting up a public display recognizing their work and contributions to Hermosa Beach and to the Sand Dune Sustainability and Conservancy. So I just wanted to let the board know that there is a group of community members who are willing to fund and acknowledge publicly the work that this group of people has done, are continuing to do. And would like to know if the board is interested in moving forward. We don't have any board policy right now on how we accept or acknowledge these kind of gifts. We have done it, and it's a great way to uplift the community. So I can see a couple different things. One, we just put it on a future board agenda item as something we can vote on and then work with the community to fundraise for a public display of some sort. A second thing is we can also revisit board policy language to see if there's a conversation that needs to happen around how these things get brought up to the board. They're not an either or. We can do both. We can do either. We can do none. I personally, Ray had encouraged me to run for the seat, and so it was one of the reasons why it's special to me. And the work of Suzanne and Jackie and the PV Land Conservancy has been, I think, really important to the Hermosa community as well. But love to hear people's thoughts on public displays as a general topic and supporting this one in particular.
I definitely support some kind of recognition. I think that would be awesome, especially because of Ray and because of all the students that have been involved in the Land Conservancy.
Miss Heath's 8th grade class, that's blood, sweat and tears right there.
That's right. And this, yes. So let's do that. Figure out a way.
I second that.
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic. People are particularly above and beyond, to recognize them in some sort of fashion, the work that they've done on the sand dune. I kind of miss Suzanne's updates that we used to get, every once in a while. It would be really special. As far as board policy, I think, be something boards should discuss kind of like on an individual basis for each one. A lot of people give a lot of things to this district and, we're thankful for all of those things and, not everyone unfortunately can get some kind of public, recognition. So I do think it needs to be looked at and discussed on a, board time by time basis, but I would be in support of doing something, for this cause and recognizing the sand dune and the work that will, hopefully continue. Hopefully somebody picks that up from Miss Heath next year and, the kids will continue to get that experience. So.
I have a question, well, two. One is it really specifically educational or is it sort of broader and more community based, which segues to the second part of my question, which is, does Hermosa as a community, does anybody know, have like any, does it have a process or
It's
a?
school board this is school board property, which is why we're looking at it. The city council does have its own process where the city, it's a multi-step process where you have to submit signatures, council reviews. They have some sort of evaluation process that goes along with that as well. So they have a very multi-step process that does look at it, but this is school board property. It's part of our easement with the Coastal Commission and the neighborhood leading up that sand dune. So it's our decision to make.
Okay. I'm supportive.
We could bring it as a board discussion item as follow-up and then with requests for information. We could either on the April or the May board agenda, I can just put it as a discussion item and then I can work with individual board members about necessary information to facilitate that discussion.
Good. Sounds like a plan.
My only caveat to that is before Tammy Heath retires. So we are working on a condensed timeline.
That's why you picked that up.
I don't think she's going to go anywhere. I mean,
You never know. We'll have Kathy Wrangler, but
I don't think she's moving or anything. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
thank you, board.
Thank you, Maggie. Other comments, items for board roundtable?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry. One more thing, this is just a note. Maybe you all know this already, but other schools are starting girls flag football and are looking for teams to start also. So Adams is doing it. I think Paris has it. And I think there's a Torrance school, Beach Cities, BCS, Beach Cities. What is BC? What is the S stand? I don't know. Anyway, it's Beach Cities. Something. Anyway, when the flag football that's been forever. Yeah. Super cool football is now have a girls league also. So, but it is a high school sport, a recognized high school sport in the state of California. So we need to probably consider how we're going to help Costa and Redondo.
We could
Redondo
definitely
has it.
follow up on that.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, if there are no other items, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Jen. All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned.